Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look at our Bitcoin, see what's going on for the weekend. It's not going to be a monumental update, folks. We saw Crypto Summit yesterday come through and most things just continue to sell off. So as expected, now that it sold off, potentially considering some longs. We actually did take some longs last night. Which is uncommon for me to take a long position on a Friday, but we succeeded here with our long for Litecoin at about 20.5%, and we are in also a Solana long too that is not looking so good. So again, it's kind of one of those break-even situations, but for the most part, this being a weekend, generally unfavorable to take trades. Keep in mind those were low leverage, low position sizes, and just nothing super substantial because again, we knew that there's an inherent risk taking a trade going into the weekend. I usually don't recommend it. So take a look here at Bitcoin. What we want to look at is a few other things here, such as liquidation, which seems to be pretty, I wouldn't say sparse, but it's fairly sporadic. It's not like a specific one area or one size fits all. So the easy way to understand it, locally here, we have 84,800, basically 85K as that next potential area. And then there's a little bit of liquidation to the upside, about 87.6. So nothing super crazy here. As per usual, Bitcoin stuck in a range for the weekend. From a macro perspective, just to give you some ideas of what's, kind of where we're at here, we are closer to the lower half of liquidation. In other words, there's a significantly large chunk at 78,000, down as low as 76. And the same thing as well, about 100 to 102. So we're a little bit closer to that lower area. Just letting you know, if we end up trending towards the low 80K range, I think that 78 to 76K makes sense. There's still a partial CME gap left as well there. It's not very much, but there is still some left. Either way you look at it here, liquidation delta seems to be kind of breaking even for the most part, while it is slightly short biased with, 2 billion in liquidation to the downside. It's not super outrageous. In other words, this is very common for range-bound activity. It just implies that we're going to see a pretty big breakout in either direction, or we have a larger potential for that. We'll touch on that here, but hypothetically, we go down from here just based on the simple sense that if we're establishing a range where we came down from higher, the likelihood of it continuing lower is greater. Okay, and I'll show you on the charts what I mean by that. But for right now, 90,000 is that level of open interest, and 86,000 is that local range where we see the most amount of buying pressure. People are adding to their position at 86,000. 86K is kind of like what 100,000 was previously. It's working out to become one of those little support ranges for us. So we'll see here soon what that looks like, but for the most part, that's standard normal stuff. We've talked about 86,000 being the lower part of this range here, and it's just something to be mindful of. Does it mean you add to your position right now, you take a long to the moon? No, definitely not. It's not really worth taking any kind of position on Bitcoin right now, specifically being a weekend, but in general, there's not like a lot of contributing factors saying, oh my gosh, we're going to see a breakout here soon. I'm sure there's some other influencer out there saying that there's a hidden bullish divergence and you got to go long now. But between now and then, there's low volume on the weekends, folks. It's really not a good call to take trades. From the daily perspective, outside of the 200-day SMA that's there at about 83,000, there is not a lot to write home about here. It's mostly bearish. Really no reason to consider a long position. When we take a look at the 4-hour time frame, we can kind of see that we're below all moving averages, generally unfavorable. We're still stuck under 50 in the RSI. I talked about this yesterday, and then we're underneath that moving average. So really just a mixed bag of nonsense, but mostly nonsensical stuff that's pointing down. So you'd probably be better off, if you're going to insist on trading this weekend, to consider some shorts. I do feel like most alts are starting to bottom out, but a lot of the bottoms just opened for a handful of alts, which I'll be covering here soon. So I would say that you're statistically more favorable to find luck to the downside than you are to the upside, even though I would say trading in general this weekend is probably not a good idea. It's a super low volume scenario here. And let me explain really quick too what I meant by this type of bearish divergence and how the price action is probably more likely to go down than up. A lot of times when you start getting range bound, you can see the price work itself into a channel, and since it derived from the upside, bearish rectangles continue lower in most cases. If you're not familiar with that, I do have some educational content here in my Discord, well, quite a lot of it actually, but if you look here, there is rectangles which are important to recognize. This is triple bottom. Here we go. Bearish rectangle. They have roughly an 80% potential for play out. And what they do is that since they are derived from the upside, they're inevitably going to continue lower because you consistently retest that lower low or that parallel low. And since there's momentum to the downside, unless there's a significant amount of buying pressure, we're probably going to see the price continue lower. Once more, just because this is an 80% probability doesn't mean it's going to play out that way. But since everything else on the charts is bearish, it increases the odds of that happening. So the one thing you want to recognize is just say this was a bullish pattern. Some people will attach themselves to bullish patterns and bearish divergences, and it makes no sense at all because the overall trend is moving against that potential shift in momentum. So right now, we got to presume the price will continue lower based on the simple fact that we're working ourselves into a channel and we came down from price action that was higher. So we're probably going to see one more leg down before the price action recovers. That's just kind of what it looks like. It's not a guarantee. Once again, 80% probability. You probably know this by now. Majority of all statistics are made up on the spot. So just take this with a grain of salt. We could be bottoming out too, but it doesn't make a ton of sense to see the price just instantly recover here. But one last little caveat, 86,000 has proven so far in the local range to be a decent little support for us. So we got to see if that holds first. All right. Cool. Well, that's what we got there. Not awesome, is it? What do you think? Actually, maybe it is awesome for you. I don't know. But either way, the market is trash right now, and there's no other way around it. Just be very careful trading. Opportunities are few and far between, so if you're struggling as a swing trader, it's normal. It's commonplace right now. I'm having a lot of difficulty in finding good entries for my community. Thankfully, our plus spot is just absolutely destroying it. Take a look here really quick, just to give you perspective. So far this month, we're up $443 on a $50 trading portfolio. So $50 per trade. We're trading $50 every trade, and so far so good. And I actually misspoke. 443 is the 2-month average since February 1st. But so far this month, we're up pretty solid on our trades. So anyways, just cool stuff there for our Premium Plus group. Congrats on that. I'm glad we're making some passive income. While it's still a little premature and we don't want to jump into that and go all in, we're perfecting that strategy and it's working out pretty well. So it's good to find some benefit in such a crap market, I guess is the best way to describe it. So congrats again on those. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out. CryptoCash.tag is a site, link down below if you want to become a better trader. Be sure to check out Bitunix too, folks. There's only like 6 days left on this benefit here where you can essentially get some nice deposit reward bonus. Check it out. Links down below for that too. Hope you have a good one. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.